The Hail Varsity Radio Saturday morning show. Strap yourselves in. Here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt.
Y'all don't even know he was a virgin until he's 28, and now, roll tide.
And Mark Cranack.
Time has come for someone to put his foot down. And that foot is me.
Welcome to it. It's a little later than usual, but the weekend editions here at Hail Varsity Radio. We are scattered all over the great state and city of Lincoln. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal, Connor Clark. We are efforting Mark Cranack, who is in the Omaha metro region. Numbers to get in at 489-1240 as we take you up till 6 o'clock and find the show different ways as you can watch the program on the Hail Varsity YouTube channel, KFOR Facebook, KFOR Sports Twitter, and the Hail Varsity Radio Twitter feed at HVarsity Radio. Elijah, Connor, good to see you. I'm at Casa de Jaybirds. There is tonic. There is Tanqueray. There is lots of limes. And Jill's got a giant blue pot full of something incredible, I'm sure. And we're going to have smoked prime rib. Ooh. How are you doing?
I mean, can't complain, Schmitty. We've got the game of the year, Iowa-Illinois on TV, an offensive slugfest thus far, 10-9 at Kinnick. Kinnick hasn't seen offense like this in years, so that's fantastic. Husker basketball.
Since Trey Palmer.
Husker basketball with a great first half performance against Oregon State as well. And I look to my right, Georgia.
An understatement.
Georgia's making me look smart. They're at 14 points on Tennessee at the half right now. So all things considered, it's going pretty well. It's a Husker game day. Can't complain about that. And it's a beautiful weather day in the city of Lincoln here before the absolute hell weather hits us beginning tomorrow with the rain and the cold and then cold all week long. Going to try to enjoy this final day of relative warmth before the true winter hits. And we're going to do it with the Husker game day.
Yeah, it's great outside. I'm wearing shorts in the studio on November 18th, which is awesome.
You got to wear shorts in that room all year long.
That is true.
That room is like 90 degrees in the middle of January.
It can be a sauna in here sometimes, but a lot of good college football on today. Michigan survived a scare in Maryland. That was one that had all of our attention throughout the 11 a.m. window. A couple of other good games. You mentioned Iowa, Illinois. A lot of Husker fans have their eyes on that game. Husker basketball with easily the best 20 minutes of the year thus far, up 20 at halftime. They just began the second half. I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't watching it in studio as we speak. So that's going to be on the side track. But yeah, overall, a good day. Excited to get things rolling here and a big game here tonight in Madison.
So Brandon checks in. He offered us a ride to Madison. Cranack, I sent you the flight itinerary.
I know.
You
saw it.
I shut it down. Elijah shut it down. And we are in our homes, or I'm in the Jaybirds anyway. But to you, Brandon, Barry Alvarez says the Badger Bash is at Union South. There's the Big Ten Pub. There's Scooney. There's Lucky 1313. And then there's the Red Zone. So if you're streaming us, Brandon, those are your bar options before 6:30 tonight. Courtesy of Coach Alvarez. Those are the beers and whiskey spots to hit.
I have no experience with Madison in particular, but have y'all been to just Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, many times.
Briefly.
Is it me or do they drink on an entirely different level than I mean, seriously, man. Like it was for a bachelor weekend. Our boy Brian getting married at the time years ago.
Great.
And so we go to Brewers Dodgers on like a Tuesday, and then Cubs Cards on a Wednesday, right? So it's like a Tuesday. It's, I don't know, August. Brewers are not in contention in any way, shape, or form. Dude, they are tailgating outside of that Brewers stadium like it is freaking Florida, Georgia or something, right? You're just like, what the hell is going on here? And then as soon as the game's over, you know, when everybody kind of empties out into the concourses, you might see, I don't know, typical stadium. You'll see, I don't know, 1 out of every 10 people is kind of schnockered and, you know, maybe had a few too many. No, it's like 3 out of 4 people emptying into the concourses are just like, everybody's just kind of like slowly just bouncing off each other, somehow making their way out. Then you get to downtown Milwaukee, and they have a bunch of stuff roped off. Again, this is like a Tuesday or Wednesday or something. They have a bunch of stuff roped off. There's not even an occasion. Like it's not a festival or anything. They just roped a bunch of stuff off, wheeled in a bunch. We're just having a lot of beer here downtown. That's what we're doing.
No, there is an occasion, Kranak, and it's drinking beer. Is that not the occasion you need?
It's incredible.
It's a day that ends in Y.
I'm telling you, people from Wisconsin, people from Louisiana, and then people from Australia. Like you get those three together. Good night now. You try to hang. It ain't gonna happen.
I'd like to add one group of people. It's lesser known, but I've seen it firsthand. South Africans. South Africans can put down some meat and beer. Meat and beer. South Africans love more. They like more Texas than Texans.
Yeah, that apartheid guilt is real. You know what I mean? And then if you are able to just kind of drink that away,
it needs to be. Steven checks in. What else are they going to do in Wisconsin?
Okay,
they're
don't
going to ice fish.
Don't hit him with that because you hear that all the time with like Husker fans going to Husker games. What else is there to do in Nebraska? I hate that. Like there's beautiful things to do in every single state in this country aside from maybe Mississippi.
People in Mississippi, or one listener in Mississippi is like, "Come on, like what do I do?" Now you got a good point though. Just from talking to people that aren't here. Or maybe people that haven't been to Nebraska before, maybe you meet them through work or whatever. You're on the phone with, who knows? Maybe that's it. What's there to do in Nebraska? I'm like, same crap you do where you're at. You go to restaurants, right? You go to bars, you go to museums, you go to sporting events, like everything there is to do where you're at.
Cultured saying you go to a museum,
which I don't do. I'm just saying they're available here. If you wanted.
There's a library too, huh?
As much as I can sit here and crap all over like Milwaukee sports as a Chicago guy myself, Wisconsin is a pretty good state. It's pretty easy to have a fun time there. There's a great bar scene in Milwaukee and Madison too. So I mean, I would be careful about what is there even to do in Wisconsin argument. You got Lake Geneva. You got a ton of stuff.
You're not selling me.
Door County.
It's a good state. I think it's a good state. I don't know.
Door County.
So
right?
maybe that's why. But
yeah, Door County is a thing. There's fun stuff to do. Now,
Wisconsin Dells. That's Wisconsin. Yeah.
Here's what you trade off. Like, especially if you're talking to somebody in like the Bay Area, you're like, you can do everything here that you do there, except if it has something to do with mountains or ocean or temperate weather, then no, you can't do those things. But the trade-off is fewer crazy people and the complete absence of large predatory animals. There are zero of those here. None. You get the occasional mountain lion or whatever. Mm-hmm. California, you could get picked off by a bear, mountain lion like that. And if you go into the water, great white like that. But here, no. What's your biggest concern? Like a pissed off like buck? I mean, come on.
Well, and here's the thing. You mentioned the mountain lions.
Could happen.
I did a whole research report for my senior capstone on mountain lions. It wasn't like the entire capstone, but part of the capstone was I did a report on mountain lions.
What the hell did you major in?
Journalism. It was like a journalist story. You can still find it online. It makes the rounds every time a mountain lion is on the loose in Nebraska. Yeah, I'll send it to you. I explain why mountain lions.
I want to read that thing aloud.
It's a video.
Oh, damn it.
It's a well done video. You might appreciate it. I'll send it your way. I'll send it in the group chat. But
it's a video.
But here's the thing. When those mountain lions are roaming through Nebraska, it's not like they're predatory or anything. What they're doing is they're looking for mates because they're coming from the West, where there's a whole bunch of established males, that already have their mates. So these young males are like, man, what do? I need a mate, and they go the wrong way. They're supposed to go to the Rockies.
This is
so they're dumb mountain lions, basically.
And so they
mountain lions with no game
because there's even more males the closer you get to the Rockies, but that's where all the females are. So they go, you know what? Too much competition. I'm going east, and then they endlessly walk until they run out of food sources. It's kind of a sad story, or until somebody catches them and returns them back home.
Then they find the family dog. Yeah.
So
the other Dave,
not a danger to humans 9 times out of 10.
The other Dave checks in. Wisconsin is home to unwanted, arrogant Midwesterners. So that's Dave's experience with Wisconsin fans. Joe Mama, my mother, golfs with a lot of Wisconsin folks down in Arizona. And her biggest pet peeve with them, other than, the last 9 years, has the fact that they love rubbing it in when they beat Nebraska. They relish in that. Yes, Iowa's a rival. Yes, Wisconsin's got Minnesota to end the year, but they really like beating Nebraska. Let's see if Nebraska flips it around. Crew has a warning for you, Elijah, your friend Crew that you partied in Chicago with. If Elijah, I'm going to need you to peel my lifeless body from the ceiling fan.
I think it's supposed to be
if Iowa doesn't win today.
I'd like to note,
He's kidding.
If they don't make it today, it sets up potentially
an awesome opportunity.
The awesome opportunity of the perfect way to send the Big Ten West off into oblivion to being no more would be a snow game at Memorial Stadium on Black Friday for the Big Ten West title with a total that will be no more than like 19 points. That would be beautiful. The most fitting way to send the Big Ten West off.
Speaking of which, if you were to just guess without even looking, and I know you know, probably because you probably have the tab pulled up or whatever, but just if anybody was to just guess, what do you think the halftime score is of Illinois, Iowa?
10-9.
You would say 10-9, and that's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. It is 10-9.
It was at one point 3-2.
It is,
wasn't it?
Yes, it was 3-2.
Yeah, it was 3-2, and unfortunately, the bottom of the third, there were runners left stranded.
You want to go back
Walter,
further?
Why is that, by the way? Why is it that look, we've come to accept it, but seriously, why is it that the Midwestern teams, right? Specifically the Midwestern teams in the Big Ten, just refuse to play anything resembling like offense. Like it is offensive offense. It's like sets the sport back. All of them.
They don't refuse to play offensive football. In their mind, they have good offensive lines, or they hope good offensive lines. They have a run game, but let me finish. Everyone has sucked and whiffed at getting a quarterback worth a damn in this division, period.
You really think that's it?
I do, because how many quarterbacks can go out there and win you a game versus not lose the game? Most of them are managers. Aside
is it
from
receivers?
Ohio,
Is it lack of big play receivers? Is it?
No.
It seems like it's deeper than that, though, right?
You have Purdue, that's kind of your oddball, right? Where they've had quarterbacks that have been better than most throwing the football. That's their system. They've had wideouts go to the NFL here the last several years when Braum was there. Wisconsin will have a tight end go to the league or a wideout. Minnesota's put guys in the NFL, skill position receivers.
You're right.
In the NFL,
yeah,
all right. But they just don't have a quarterback that's going to make a difference, really league-wide. I mean, J.J. McCarthy was off today, right? You haven't had that stud quarterback that has gone to the next level since really, honestly, a Russell Wilson. They've just not either been right, or the quarterback gets hurt because it is such a physical league. Ohio State's clearly they're the cream of the crop with NFL and quarterbacks, but for the most part, you've got Ohio State, and then there's everybody else with their quarterbacks. Now that'll change with your West Coast.
Penn State puts together a fine offense in most years. I think
they have running backs or wide receivers. Yeah, but the last Penn State quarterback to be worth a darn was Joe. Is it Sakic? That sound right?
That was the Colorado Avalanche center, so I don't think that's right.
No, who is the no, that was bad.
It was Bobby Hull. Bobby Hull, I think was
Bobby Orr. Bobby Orr.
Yeah.
No, there was a quarterback that got drafted by the Jets. Help me out here. Someone Google that.
Well, there was
Wayne Gretzky.
There was Chase McSorley. He was
right, but he didn't go to the NFL. I mean, he spent a little time with Baltimore, but he wasn't a high top 3 round draft pick.
Christian Hackenberg.
Yes, thank you.
Christian Hackenberg was supposed to be the second coming, and the way the ball left his hand, the way the ball left his hand was, I mean, seriously, that dude
was incredible until it landed. No, it was incredible until it landed right in the defensive back's arms.
Did you say Tanner Lee?
I did say Tanner Lee.
The Coaching change
Jeff
didn't help him.
Jeff Sims is in that same category, by the way. Jeff
Can you
Sims,
guys-
in terms of like delivering a ball, right? Like throwing the.
Dion has a
just-
great
just throwing a
question
football.
here.
What's
What's
a
the
quarterback?
I would just like to know, we are
Yeah.
15 minutes into the show, and this is the first time we have mentioned Nebraska football with the mention of Jeff Sims and how he
Saturday.
throws the
Well,
football.
we got onto the tangent and expertise of the state of Wisconsin. We dove into Elijah's capstone project on mountain lions.
I have sent you guys that video in the group
I
chat.
know.
You can check it out in the commercial break. It's good work for me.
and now we'll get into to Nebraska, Wisconsin. But yeah, Cranack, to your point, quarterback's been a big problem for the league.
The entire league. Like if you put Minnesota in Wisconsin's jerseys and you put Iowa and Nebraska's and just pick a Big Ten, Northwestern, throw them in the mix too. Illinois, you can mix them all. You would not be able to tell the difference. Like, because what happens between each of those offenses is no progress, no yards, no big plays, nothing exciting whatsoever. But it's truly remarkable that you could have an entire division that is that bad at offense.
Let's say league,
Like-
aside from Ohio State.
Well, Michigan's offense has been impressive.
Sure.
Penn State's is
But I'm
serviceable.
talking
Maryland's
quarterback, though.
Maryland's got a QB that's going to play in the league most likely.
He's it. He's it right
They
now.
got some skill guys. It's just for some reason you get into that central time zone, you get into that little contiguous block of Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska, and it's just like nobody is going to play offensive football. And it's amazing. And it's like if and what's going to change? Is it truly just the quarterback? Like, is it truly just the quarterback?
Ohio State's done a pretty good job of recruiting, grooming, and developing. So kids are deciding
What
to.
kind of grooming are we talking about? Jim Jordan was
No, I'm saying that they've got a streak of quarterbacks that have gone to the NFL.
Gotcha.
Same with Nick Saban in Alabama. Same with Lincoln Riley when he was at Oklahoma and now USC. Those are if you're a quarterback, those are the four schools you're looking at because you can go perform and then get to the league.
Yeah,
That's
fair.
really it.
Fair enough. Does this? All right. I'm not going to try to turn this into like a recruiting hour or anything like that, or wishful thinking. But if you're Dylan Raiola and you've been watching any of this, which you probably do, right? You probably keep an eye on Nebraska, right? It's your dad's alma mater. You got some love for the
uncle.
team. Yeah, right. Your uncle's the offensive line coach, so of course you're watching. Your little brother is still getting recruited. Does what he has seen this year enter into his brain in any way? I'm serious. Does it enter into his brain in any way where he's like, damn, like I could start for sure next year. I could walk right in, start next year, and all I have to do is like make sure
I don't throw interceptions.
Yeah, I just have to make sure I don't.
Here's the other question to that,
right?
though. There may be an open quarterback spot to start. Sure. How do you feel about going and playing for this offensive coordinator?
Well, fair question. Okay, now here's the rub with it, right? Here's the problem with Satterfield, and we got a comment in from Elijah where he says, "If I was Dylan Raiola, I'd want some receivers that can also catch if I come here." Fair,
Right?
But-
he's got some freshmen that are decent.
yeah, you got a freshman 4x1 team. That's what you got. You got speed to burn. Those dudes will be all right. They've just been pressing to action much sooner than they probably should have been, right?
Sure.
But you got a stable of guys that were recruited by multiple other schools. Nebraska talent-wise at receiver is fine. The offensive coordinator, the problem with him, I think it's not so much that he can't put a game plan together or that he can't figure out or that he can't figure out
or it's bad execution.
Well, I think his hands are tied so much and that it's frustrating, but we've been saying it since week one, like restraint. Like we know the play sheet says this, we know that you should be open on, 3rd and 3, if you in this formation and you see this kind of deep, like we know all that. The problem is that he just happens to have, and we'll see if Purdy's any different. But the problem is that Sims and Harburg cannot take advantage of those situations.
Mm-hmm.
They flat out can't. I don't think. Maybe they will be able to at some point. Sims can't because he can't hold on to them. I mean, he throws a pick literally every 8 passes. Like, come on. It's just you can't work with that. It doesn't matter what you're calling. You cannot work. And if he's not doing that, he's fumbling. Yeah, right. It's just like, come on. You can't work with that. Stop blaming the offensive coordinator, right? And then with Harburg, I mean, he was probably third string on the depth chart. The dude's a good, he's a horse. He can run. He's got a strong arm, all those things. The knock on him was accuracy. And you've seen I'm right. You can't necessarily coach that either. You can try to improve it, but it's just like, dude, if you're misfiring by 5 yards, like, yo, I don't know what I can do there. So if you're Raiola, you do have that sort of pure quarterback kind of understanding. He understands it at a coach's level. His dad was a center. He looks at it in a very different analytical kind of way. Put it this way. If he is the quarterback this year and you look at some of those routes that are open, do you think a guy like Raiola actually finds those folks and delivers it to them? Probably.
If he has time, probably finds them. Yeah.
Right? Probably. And the time has actually been a little better this year. It's not great. I don't even think it's good, but it's okay. Whereas last year it was like Thompson was just under siege. It was terrible protection last year. This year it's okay. So maybe you're right.
Gotten better.
Talk me into it.
They'll be big tonight.
So Dylan Raiola is coming to Nebraska. You heard it here. You heard it here first. Dylan Raiola is going to decommit and come to Nebraska.
That is Mark Kranak, unbiased journalist. Chris Schmidt, weekend edition of Hail Varsity. Elijah Herbal, Connor Clark. Way off on the Arizona pick. Actually, yeah, because Arizona is crushing Utah. Man, Arizona can play some ball this season. And right now, apparently, there's some PTSD going on. Dion alerts us in the chat, and you can chat with us on the Hail Varsity YouTube channel that Notre Dame just called for an onside kick to start the third quarter. And then there were the Buffs last night. That was kind of hilarious. To see
that
them.
was great to watch. They're imploding, completely imploding.
They're not good.
No.
So I have been alerted. It's time for a break. Somehow, some way, we've burned a half hour already.
Connor, before we do that, Connor, do we have an update from Husker basketball?
We do. The score bug just disappeared, but they are still up.
Is that being televised, by the way? Is that on BTN?
On Peacock. It is 61-34 at the under 12 media timeout.
There was 61-35. There was a very questionable blocking foul called on Josiah Alec. I thought it should have been a charge, but
they've been tightening up on that in college basketball this year. I have not seen very many charges
rule
called
change,
this year.
and it's weird. And I don't want to get into it right now because I don't really know what the rule change is. But
I got taught some basketball, by the way.
Colin is here to help with our OC Raiola. Is it the players? Is it the coach? Comment here. Colin, our friend in South Bend, Sats has had 6 years of being an OC. And 4 of those years, his offense is finished in the 100s, and he's never had even had a top 70 offense. And this isn't the first time his offense led the league in turnovers. So there is
okay. No, that is a really fair point about the turnovers. I believe he has been his last 2 years in Carolina. He was dead last in the conference in turnovers.
They were great the last 3 games of last season, though. I mean, they were as hot as anybody in the country.
But they led the conference in turnovers in South Carolina his last 2 years, and then this year he's also leading the conference in turnovers and the nation. That's maybe it's just a run of bad luck, whatever. But there's that's through a lot of quarterbacks too. By the way, his first year in Carolina, he played 3 guys. Then he played Rattler. This year, he's played 3 guys. So
Rattler was a godsend for him last year.
6 or 7 quarterbacks going through the 3 years, 2 different programs. The results are the same. Dead last in turnovers. Like, that's just what it's been. Not saying that's what it's going to be forever, but that's what it's been.
Well, we'll dive into Nebraska, Wisconsin. The quarterback thought is it's Chubba time. We'll kind of lay out how that may look tonight. The line's been fluctuating. Jay Bird's been to the sports book already. He tells me that the Nebraska contingent is, what is the word, Jay? Put money on Wisconsin tonight. Yeah. So
Husker Nation not shoved up.
They're not chubbed up. Thank you, Elijah, for that. I'm going to go get a drink because I need one after that. Quick timeout, and thanks for tuning in. Can stream us, KFORnow.com, and always can watch and stream the show video-wise, Hail Varsity YouTube, Hail Varsity Radio Twitter feed, and then KFOR Facebook and Twitter. Weekend edition rolls on ahead of Nebraska-Wisconsin on KFOR.
Make a difference by helping out less fortunate kids in the Lincoln area this holiday season with KFOR's Operation Santa Claus. I'm Jeff Motes from the KFOR Newsroom. Since 1948, KFOR's Operation Santa Claus has helped provide a gift for a child to brighten his or her spirit during the holiday season. You can help by sending your donation to KFOR's Operation Santa Claus, 3800 Cornhusker Highway here in Lincoln. The zip code is 68504. You can also donate through our website, KFORnow.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
I'm Dave Wolf of the Time Shop. A sign in our store reads, "The bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten." Every day we see watches that have been abused or damaged, some beyond repair. But if your watch is worth keeping, the Time Shop is worth visiting. We do all kinds of repairs, from battery replacement to major overhauls. And all work is done right in our store. So if you have a watch you'd like to wear and enjoy, come see us at the Time Shop, next to McDonald's, 6450 O Street, Lincoln.
Thank you, Lincoln, for choosing Chateau Development as the best apartment community for 24 years in a row.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity Weekend, and we're powered by Cornhead Lager. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal, Connor Clark.
Was that like a 90-second
commercial
break?
Is that the fastest break in the history of America?
Yeah, that's what we were set up with. So
I'll take it. I'm sure the people at home will take it too.
Oh yeah.
Mark, the unbiased journalist, is checking back in.
I'm sure he's watching my story on mountain lions right now.
He's probably unaware.
You have distracted him. You have absolutely distracted him. That's okay.
If anyone out there, if you ever have a mountain lion in your area, you want to know why the hell is this going on, you can look at my video online. You can DM me on Twitter. I'll send you the video, and I'll learn you something with the mountain lions and why they're wandering through eastern Nebraska. It's seen in Iowa into Illinois even. So these mountain lions, they do wander a long way, and I'm sure Mark is really giving himself some critical, valuable information in case he ever finds himself face-to-face with a mountain lion.
Kranak went on a beer run, went to the bathroom, or is looking, getting his dog out and in. I mean, those are choices A, B, and C because he thought he had a 5-minute break.
Well, maybe I'll attempt to give you guys a longer one next time around.
No,
I looked up.
We're all right.
I looked up and there were 15 seconds left. I was like, oh boy, here we go. So
I prefer the shorter breaks, honestly. I'm sure the people at home do too. It gives me a second to collect my thoughts.
Not get distracted too much.
I mean, that's really about it. Collect my thoughts and like check Twitter or something. I really don't do
Steven
much.
checks in. Chuba will be fine. He's not going to have 5 turnovers tonight.
Oh, you
Is that our seal? Is that our sign of success now? Like, he's not going to have 5. 4 is fine.
The line is now at +7.
inside?
Action Sports has 10 sharp bets on Wisconsin and none for Nebraska. There you go.
Does that mean that Mark is unemployed? Matt asks. I'm because I'm an unbiased journalist. That's probably it. Makes sense. Yeah,
pretty good. It's pretty good.
They're all biased. You're right.
What does tonight look like on offense, fellas, with Nebraska at quarterback? Chuba's the guy. I know he's wounded a bit. Sports hernia / growing issue.
Is that the athletic pubaglia or whatever it's called that Nebraska had way back in the 90s? Remember?
Yeah, I've already gone with the Joe Sakic take earlier, so I'm not even going to try and pronounce what what Evans and Amon had.
Athletic
one point or
Baglia, something like that.
something like that.
Something to do with pube. We know that.
Right. It was from overlifting, allegedly. Right.
Yeah. Maybe some creatine.
Yes. So
maybe some roids.
No. Nebraska tonight.
Nebraska did not do roids in the 90s. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know that. I never had a sample tested.
We don't know why the groins were injured. There could be a variety of reasons.
Right. We're not going to get sued at 4:36 p.m. Central right before Thanksgiving.
Coming in from Joel.
You uncomfortable? How much this Purdy news has forced you to say growing on air?
No, we finally feel free, Joel. It's great. It's like
what's the therapy and treatment like? Because if so, Deshaun Watson is in line, right?
Okay.
Wow.
You're right, though. That would be awkward. Like, what do you do? Like, which trainer is helping you out becomes an issue.
Everybody runs. He's in the training room again. Okay. Question about Chuba. Do you expect?
Oh God.
Dare I even say?
Careful with that icy hot.
More throwing tonight. Or do you expect less quarterback run, or is it more so just an Emmett Johnson ball game with some passes that maybe Satterfield's going to feel comfortable throwing because Chubb is a better passer out of that quarterback room?
Has anything you've seen from Marcus Satterfield over the 6 weeks shown you that he is going to drastically change his offense based on who he has at quarterback? No, I mean
he did. Yes. He
drastically.
did more.
They added a little bit of option, which was Tom Osborne's idea.
No, I know, but I'm saying they did more quarterback run. Okay.
I mean, they did a decent amount through the first 2 weeks with Sims. They added 5 more carries a game.
Not the option.
It's not
the option.
It's not a drastic change of the offense. So they're adding bits and pieces. But everything we've heard from this coaching staff all season long has been, we have a standard, we have a scheme. You need to go execute it. If you can't go execute it, we'll find somebody who can. That's going to be Chuba's, if he is the guy tonight, that is going to be what they're asking of him. Hey, we have a standard, we have a scheme. You need to go out and execute it. If not, we'll go to the next guy in line and see if he can execute it. I don't foresee a drastic change in the game plan. I think the quarterback is probably going to have 20 to 25 passing attempts today. I think in passing downs, they're going to throw the football. That's what they've shown all season long. And I think the only guarantee is that Nebraska will turn the football over, if not once, at least twice in the football game tonight because of those offensive game plan issues from Marcus Satterfield. Mm-hmm. He doesn't design an offense. He's not going to go drastically change it in 1 week to go fit the strengths of whoever's at quarterback. There's a standard. There's an offense. Nebraska's going to go out and try to execute that offense, and we'll see if Chuba can do it any better. But don't expect this offense to look wildly different tonight because, it's a night game in November at Camp Randall, and our third-string guy is starting. Everything we've seen from Marcus Satterfield this year has shown us he is not going to drastically change his offense. Maybe there's some tweaks. Maybe there's some fine print things that have changed because Chuba or whoever is going to be your starting quarterback. I think it's going to be Chuba. I do not expect them to say, you know what? Chuba's at quarterback. Emmett Johnson, you're getting 30 touches today. No,
that'd be cool.
They have their offense.
They do, but there needs to be tweaks and adaptations. And Nebraska showed the ability to do that when they had to change quarterbacks. Redwine65 says Chuba completes sensible passes. Johnson runs. Everyone hangs on to the football. 21 points. The defense wins the game. That's what it's supposed to look like. Elijah checks in earlier in this stream, and Hail Varsity YouTube's where you can chime in. My hope is Chuba is that he doesn't get in his own way. When it came to last year during games, he seemed deer in the headlights, anxious, nervous.
That was Oklahoma, right? That was basically Oklahoma.
Yeah, that was Oklahoma. And then there was a little bit of Michigan. If he can get
that's right.
That'll be good. And that's just it. I mean, maybe as much practice as he's gotten, and I know he's been signaling stuff in, but I think this staff has done a good job of getting guys comfortable. Now, Harburg hasn't looked comfortable the last few weeks, but that's because I think he's a little bit apprehensive about getting hit, and this league does take a toll on you. Can Chuba get comfortable? And let's see if there's some passes. Guys, there are some passes that are really, really easy to complete that Harburg wasn't completing. A screen to Johnson, some of those short little kind of line of scrimmage, quick hits out of the slot. There wasn't blocking either, but some of those are doable, or a slant route, okay, or just finding a tight end over the middle for an 8-yard gain. I mean, I think those are some things that Chubba, you pray if you're a Nebraska fan, can have some accuracy with tonight. I mean, it doesn't have to be 15, 20 yards downfield all the time. You can dink and dunk a little bit, and we've not seen that really get executed this year, even at least when Harburg's been in throwing the ball, Connor.
Well, this is my thing coming into tonight's game too, and it's not about eliminating turnovers. It's about how do you make that 5 in the turnover margin go down to a 2 or a 3? Because I said this on the show yesterday. You're -5 in the last 2 games in the turnover battle. You've turned it over 8 times in 2 contests, and you've lost by a combined 6 points. So how do you take that 5 from last game and make that 2? Because if you do that, your defense is good enough to keep you in the game, if not win the game for you. And that completely increases your chance of going on the road and beating Wisconsin for the first time in 9 matches. Now, obviously easier said than done. I mean, we've seen this offense struggle with turnovers all year long, every single quarter, it feels like. We read the Jeff Sims stats earlier. Every 9 snaps, the dude is turning the ball over. Now, I know he's probably not going to start tonight, but how can Chubba, if he does start, that's who I got my money on, eliminate those or not even eliminate, reduce those turnovers? How do you make that number 5 a number 2? I expect him to run the ball a little bit. I like the quarterback kind of RPO that they were having him do late in that game against Maryland. I thought he was pretty effective at it. Obviously made the bad throw near the goal line that was there. I mean, you just made a bad throw. So that's my thing. How do you reduce that number? You don't need it. You don't need 0. You don't need a 0 in there. It's okay if you turn it over once or twice because this defense is good enough to keep you in the game. But you can't do it more than 3 times.
Well, we've been asking the same question for 5, 6, 7 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
How does Nebraska reduce the turnovers? They can't. At this point in the season, you are what you are. I don't think Nebraska can reduce the turnover numbers aside from completely abandoning throwing the football, which Marcus Satterfield has shown he's not going to do. It comes down to the defense going out there and wreaking havoc and being able to generate more turnovers on their end. And 5 is an unacceptable number for turnovers. But I think you need to expect that this Husker offense is going to turn the football over at least 2 times in this football game. Can the defense go out there and generate 4 takeaways? That's probably what's going to take for this team to
stay
even.
If you can't reduce the turnover number in my mind, I don't think you can win these next 2 games.
Well, I think the personnel
probably true
that they can't reduce the turnover number. What can Marcus Satterfield do? He's shown that he's not going to change his offense. Like, I think at this point, you just have to expect that turnovers are the name of the game for the Husker offense right now, and you have to find a way to win despite that, which puts a lot of pressure on your defense. And hey, whenever you do get a drive going that gets inside the 20-yard line, make sure it ends in points instead of a turnover. I mean, that can change the game last week if that last drive doesn't end in a turnover.
If they turn it over 4 times instead of 5 times, they probably win.
They win.
Because we're talking about a team.
Turn it over 1 less time.
We're talking about a team that is dead last in the country in turnovers. 27. I mean, Nebraska is quite literally the worst team in the entire nation when it comes to turnovers.
They won 5 times somehow.
And now you're playing your 3rd quarterback this year. And, it's his 4th year playing ball, by the way. He had 2 years at Florida State. He kind of sat out his 2nd year. Got a little cup of coffee, but he's been around the block.
He's had 4 years, but he hasn't had even a year's worth of combined starts.
No, he hasn't had a ton of playing time, obviously. But, Nebraska, minimum 2 turnovers. That's just like a given, right? It's definitely you're going to turn it over at least twice, and probably more. If you just look at the averages, they're probably going to turn it over a little more than that. And Wisconsin is not a vintage Wisconsin defense. They're not, but they're good. They're salty. You put them right in with kind of any of the other Big Ten defenses, but you don't put them cream of the crop like you used to, right? Wisconsin used to be one of the league leaders in terms of havoc and all that. They're susceptible in the air. They're okay against the run. But Nebraska can't take advantage of the air, and Nebraska doesn't run it all that well either.
You wait.
There you go.
Chubba time.
Yeah.
Where does that end?
Mark Cranack, Elijah Herbal, Chris Schmidt, Connor Clark. It's Hail Varsity Weekend. No, this Wisconsin team isn't J.J. Watt or Herbeck or some of those other linebackers that fly around. It's not the Jim Leonard defense. The situation here with Nebraska is just be balanced, find something that's working, lean on it, and then keep running it until they stop it and just take care of the football. So I got kind of a question, and Matt brings this up in the stream. Got a kick out of this, and I sent it to you earlier, Elijah, but it was Nick Saban during his radio show. And Saban was going to put a swear jar in his office. And every time he would swear during a team meeting or within the facility, he was going to have to put a dollar in. Well, he's like, I would not be able to function financially if it was a swear jar on the field. Is that a thing still with Nebraska football fans watching games? Do you still, or have you been whittled away so much these last few years, especially the Wisconsin games, where you're just out of tears? There's no more F-bombs left. Because this is the game and this is the team that has made you probably the most irate. When it's gone sideways, it's really snowballed.
I don't care how
Nothing tops 2021. Nothing tops 2021. That was
you are the Purdue scoop and score F-bomb inducing moment. The interception inside the 10 against Maryland, F-bomb inducing moment. Heinrich Harburg with a chance to go win the game against Michigan State. No, we get sacked. No, the ball is free. F-bomb inducing moment. Any play whenever Michigan was on offense against Nebraska, F-bomb inducing moment.
Sure.
There is just like, I don't care how dejected you are. If you have the game on TV, yeah, like you're filling up the swear jar.
I'm just, we're on the same page. You know what? Last year's Wisconsin game, that whole fourth quarter,
that was really
that
bad.
Team with that quarterback scored 15 points in the fourth quarter and won 15-14. That may, of all these awful losses the last 7 years, blowouts or tight losses, that one may be the most harmful. And I know we're a week removed from just kick the field goal and let your defense go out. It's quite frankly amazing that this team's as resilient as they are. And, they have a chance to fix it tonight at quarterback, and the defense is going to theoretically play ball. I don't know if Braylon Allen goes. If he plays tonight, that could shift things a little bit. Or are you not that worried about Braylon's availability, Elijah?
I think even if he's available, he's going to be hindered. And I think against the Nebraska rushing defense, that does not bode well for him, especially with Wisconsin's propensity this season to abandon the run. They do that better than anybody else in the Big Ten West, abandon the run. I am not
really
all that concerned.
That's going to tell you to hold my beer.
With Braylon out. Oh, no. Phil Longo takes that to a new level. 45 passing attempts last game. What are you doing, dude? You have the best running back in the Big Ten West. I know he was hurt last week, but my dear God, some of Wisconsin's offensive play calling this year has been nonsensical. And
Colin J says in 2021, my pets were terrified of me when I was watching Nebraska.
I know. Isn't that the best?
And I always ask Brandon what a metric is to follow for the game. If Nebraska wins this metric, they win the game. It's an interesting one to study that. It's not on the field, but it's a very true metric. How many F-bomb inducing moments does Nebraska have in this game tonight? That could be your metric. If you keep it below 3, I think Nebraska's got a good chance to win this football game.
And we'll revisit this Monday. Total F-bomb.
We can revisit this tonight, yeah.
Yeah, Real Red Reaction follows 10 p.m. on KFOR. Motzi and Dolman will pop in with us. But, yeah, Kranak, you've been to a lot of road shows, and you're an outstanding parent. I mean, do you kind of walk into another room and scream into a pillow?
Oh, no.
Kids are over?
You teach them well right at the beginning that
you do it right in front of them.
You scream at the television and then everything's just fine. So F-bomb inducing moments. Let's maybe give our top 3, and I haven't thought about this too much, so this is on the fly. But
we have 7 minutes until the hour break, by the way, guys.
All right, that's good heads up. So one F-bomb inducing moment for me personally, I think they're all going to be different. Shotgun from inside the 2-yard line on goal line. That is always an
a lot.
moment.
That happens a lot.
Yep. That's always just like, what the, so that's one. Anytime it is just a straight drop back.
No play action or no rollout.
No play action, no rollout, just straight drop back. That is always like, what the, because something bad is probably going to happen. Those would probably be my top 2. I don't know if there's a lot of close. I mean, of course, like when the turnover actually occurs, we got to take that off the table.
Third and 14, the pass rush doesn't get home and they get 15 yards. The other offense does.
Every
That's
third and
eight.
Every third and eight this season, as great as the defense has been not good. That can cause it. In East Lansing, after that fumble, that was to a man and woman working in Nebraska media. You look at one another and say, geez, bleep. There it is. And then Sims' second interception, that interception right after the fumble, that was brutal. Mm-hmm. That was so bad. Let's go to the phones real quick. Do not reenact this. Who's calling?
This is Tad from California.
I love Tad. Tad from Cali. Tad, thanks, my man, for checking in with us.
Yeah, you bet, guys. So, listen, I've just, like I've been saying all year long and years before, we got to pound the football, boys. And if we can do that and hit the tight end, we're going to be fine. We got to control the ball. We can't put all that pressure on the quarterback. We have a good running game. Let's just go out there and win this game up in Madison. Because who knows what's going to happen. But we all got to start thinking positive about these Cornhuskers. We're tired of the fumbles. We're tired of the interceptions. Let's just keep it real simple. Let's go out and win a football game.
Thanks, guys. Tad, let's get you a headset and let's get you in the press box tonight.
I love you, Tad. Appreciate the phone call. Yeah, no, I mean, keep it positive, but also keep it simple. And we'll see if Nebraska can do that. Brian, hard to get small children to be fans when moms got to send them outside due to dad's language. We had a caller, I think, from Geneva, Nebraska, earlier this year. Was 2 games ago, Michigan State, I think during the reaction show, he called in and said, yeah, it's not going well if kids are being sent outside to play. Because dad's got that look in his eye again.
Good stuff.
Nebraska's, I just had to look that up, by the way, receivers. Nebraska's leading receiver through 10 games, mind you. 10.
Yep.
Billy Kemp has 23 catches for 246 yards. So, and he leads in both of those categories, receptions, yards. Receptions per game is 2.6. Yards per game, 27.3. That leads the team.
How close is Marcus Washington to being at the top of that list?
He has 8 grabs for 176 yards. So, yeah, he's only 70 yards away from Kemp. And that's in 6 games.
Yeah. Well, and I hope, if you're a Nebraska fan, I hope Fedoni has a big game tonight. I love his matchup ability. And listen, I am optimistic tonight that Nebraska will have a little cleaner passing game. And I know Harburg's not the second coming of Caleb Williams. And I know that Purdy is somebody that has looked skittish, but I thought he looked under control in the moment. Really
most under control, way different than we saw him last year, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 180. It was a 180. So I think an earlier comment about the comfort level is very real, very true. And can Nebraska keep him comfortable? Can Emmett do his thing, running the football? This O-line surged forward. And the defense, guys, and we'll get more into this in the next hour, but pass rush is going to be so big. And I get that Wisconsin doesn't have game breakers at wide receiver, but they're talented guys. They're talented enough to play in the Big Ten anyway. A lot of flex guys, body type wise. So can Nebraska get home and at least rattle Mordecai a little bit? If he goes over that 31 attempt number, it's not been a good result or outcome for Wisconsin. But that's what they're going to do. And the black shirts, Jamari Butler's been kicking butt. He has really been playing good football. He's a guy off the edge. You have Robinson that's playing good. And then Mekhi Bayer has been outstanding on some blitz packages as well. Stop the run for sure, but find a way to get back. Quentin Newsom being back will be pretty important too at that corner spot to help lock in. And see if Nebraska can make a difference here and get off the field on some 3rd and longs. How about that? So it's not a shorter field.
Quick Nebraska ball update here, too, guys. 26 seconds left. Nebraska up 84-62. So
84-62. What was the number? Was that 7?
7.5 was the spread in favor of Nebraska. So
have you seen how I was pretty concerned about the loss of Derek Walker from a passing standpoint when you put him in the high post, and he did a pretty good job of running. You ran some unique half court stuff with him. Rink Mass has completely taken that mantle just fine. You don't even miss it. His passing plus his rebounding, Rink Mass is
Stony Brook a lot.
And how about this for Husker names this season? You're chubbed up and at half mast. Unbelievable.
Elijah, we need to take away your mic.
Yeah, Elijah.
You have the ability to do that. You're running the ship in there. You can cut my mic at any point.
Elijah Herbal is geared up for Nebraska. He's mad at me. We should have been roadie into Madtown.
No, it's okay.
And we decided not to.
I didn't want to pay for new tires this month anyway.
That's fine. Okay, hour 2, weekend edition. Hail Varsity continues. We'll check it with Brandon Vogel, the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp. Hour 2 coming up on KFOR.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankism of Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Chris and Carol from KFOR Morning News. The holidays are a time of hope.
That's what a gift under the tree on Christmas is to a child. Hope in knowing that they haven't been forgotten.
That the joy of the season is just as much for them as everyone else.
Join Operation Santa Claus. Go online now at KFORnow.com.
Or reach out to us at 3800 Cornhusker Highway, 68504.
Your gift can change a child's life.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside
app. This is your station for local news, talk, sports, and weather. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Comparing Russia's President Putin with Hamas, the militant group running Gaza. President Biden in a Washington Post opinion article. Mr. Biden saying both are fighting to wipe a neighboring democracy off the map. 70% of people in Gaza don't have clean drinking water because there's no fuel, and sewage is starting to overflow, says a UN agency. Israel says it's complying with the U.S. request to allow fuel into Gaza. In Egypt, to hand over humanitarian aid for Palestinians to the Egyptian Red Crescent, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen.
Egypt is truly providing a lifeline to Gaza. And the European Union is making full use of this lifeline to address the humanitarian needs in Gaza.
Some sort of an apparent mishap with today's SpaceX launch of its second flight test without a crew of its mega rocket Starship in South Texas. SpaceX engineers declared that the rocket's second stage failed and it blew itself up around 8 minutes into the flight.
What we do believe right now is that the automated flight termination system on second stage appears to have triggered very late in the burn as we were headed downrange out over the Gulf of Mexico.
SpaceX engineer John Innsbrucker. Former President Trump at a rally in Fort Dodge, Iowa today.
Last night, our campaign won a gigantic court victory in Colorado.
Praising a decision by a judge in Colorado to keep him on the ballot over constitutional claims that a person involved in insurrection is barred from running for office. The group making the claim says it'll appeal. To rival Republican presidential contender Nikki Haley's comments that she has a stronger foreign policy sense than Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. DeSantis today in Ottumwa, Iowa.
I don't care what they say about me. I'll take the arrows, I'll take the slings, I'll take all that, because it's not about me, it's about you.
Haley's a former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. You're listening to ABC News.
3 little words no parent wants to hear.
My tummy hurts.
And it always seems to happen at the worst times. Like in the middle of the morning rush, when you still have homework to check and lunches to pack, and of course, you're already late for work. Luckily, there's Pepto Kids. New Pepto Kids gummies helps relieve occasional stomach upsets, turning those 3 words into these 3 words.
I feel better.
Bad time for stomach upsets? Good time for new Pepto Kids gummies. Fast support for little tummies.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
A more sustainable world. Brought to you by Charmin. Many brides are choosing to purchase second-hand wedding dresses. And it's not just about saving money. Sarah Gabor recently opened the Beverly Hills consignment shop, Loved Twice Bridal.
Well, there's been a shift in the market, I think, as far as value and then sustainability. There's 2,300 gallons of water are used to produce one wedding dress.
Brought to you by Charmin Super Mega Rolls. Want longer-lasting rolls? Go with Charmin Super Mega Rolls.
A recall.
I'm Jeff Moats, KFOR News. Lincoln police continue searching for possible suspects in Friday morning's attempted ATM machine theft at Liberty First Credit Union off of 46th and R Street. Investigators say that cash from the machine was taken. A stolen truck and chain were used to try and rip off the ATM from its base. 2 street closures start Monday due to utility work being done by Black Hills Energy. 48th Street northbound from Newton to Glade will be closed with work to be done by Tuesday. Layton Avenue between 51st and 52nd Streets will also be closed. Work there should be done by Wednesday. The Nebraska football team plays Wisconsin tonight at 6:30 on NBC. After the game around 10 p.m., join us for the Real Red Reaction Show on KFOR. The number 1 Nebraska volleyball team swept Michigan in 3 sets Friday night at the Devaney Center. And the 5th-seeded Nebraska women's soccer team got a 2-1 win over Tennessee in the second round of the NCAA tournament Friday night at Hibner Stadium. Huskers play UC Irvine in the Sweet 16 tomorrow at 1. Lincoln's first forecast: increasing clouds tonight, a low of 38 and a 70% chance of rain for your Sunday and a high of 53. I'm Jeff Moats, KFOR News.
The KFOR Holiday Haul is back.
We want you to load up with $500 gift cards from Leon's Gourmet Grocer, a $50 Jet Splash gift card,
plus a pair of tickets to Lincoln Symphony Orchestra's Deck the Halls at the Lead Center on December 3rd.
Just tune in to KFOR morning weekdays to qualify.
Or go to KFORnow.com and enter there, plus see the complete rules.
It's the KFOR Holiday Haul with Leon's Gourmet Grocers, Jet Splash Car Wash, and the Lincoln Symphony Orchestra.
Happy holidays from KFOR. On the road with Febreze Car. Got a road trip planned? Don't forget to stop by Casey, Illinois to get your picture taken with some of the world's largest things, like the world's largest rocking chair or ring the world's largest wind chime. You can even mail a postcard from the world's largest mailbox, making this small town a must-see. While some car fresheners hit you with a blast of perfume, Febreze Car works differently. It gives you 40 days of consistent freshness that starts just right and stays just right. Febreze Car.
This year, Staples wants everyone to have a happy holiday deal.
That's right, Holla Deals. Staples Holla Deals are amazing savings on hot holiday tech. Great prices on laptops, game systems, earbuds, and more. And now at Staples, you can save up to $350 on select PCs. During Staples Holla Deals, it's not about the fa-la-la. It's about saving moolah-la. Save up to $350 on select PCs today at Staples. Ends 11/18 in-store only. See associate for details.
At Ulta Beauty's Black Friday sale, I get up to 50% off all week long on over 500 can't-miss deals. Starting November 19th, shop 40% off stunning Morphe eyeshadow palettes and 50% off select Tula skincare products. Plus, starting Tuesday, shop $12 mascaras from brands like Tarte, Benefit.
The Hail Varsity Radio Saturday morning show. Strap yourselves in. Here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt.
Y'all don't even know he was a virgin until he's 28, and now, roll tide.
And Mark Cranack.
Time has come for someone to put his foot down. And that foot is me.
Back with you, Tower 2. It's the weekend edition, Hail Varsity. We're powered by Cornhead Lager, Chris Schmidt, Mark Cranack, Elijah Herbal, Connor Clark. We welcome in with Counter Read. CounterRead.com, Brandon Vogel. He's in his football den. Glorious bookshelf and books behind him of football and other fiction and nonfiction. Vogues, if we're going to go ratio, not necessarily pass to run, but what's the ratio of fiction to nonfiction behind you, and how many are football books?
I've got about two solid shelves, about 2.5 solid shelves of football books. They definitely, the middle section directly behind my head for those watching the stream is the sports section, organized by sport, and football definitely is the biggest chunk of that. Nonfiction to fiction ratio is probably about 70-30 nonfiction. Ain't got time for make-believe.
Well, is it make-believe right now if this score holds that Nebraska-Iowa for the right to go play somebody way better in the big from the Big Ten East in 2 weeks in Indy?
It might be. I mean, isn't Iowa being down 10-9 in the third quarter like Iowa being up by 28 for a normal team? Like this is exactly what they want. Oh, they just need a safety to win. 11-10, Iowa, Big Ten West champs.
It was 3-2 at one point. So you're telling me Iowa's going to win 11-10 today?
Well, see, Illinois has crossed midfield on their offensive possession, which they still have the.
Are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed to do that in the Big Ten? I'm not sure you're allowed to do that in the Big Ten West. Penalty on the offense, advancing the ball. Yeah.
Well, all we know, assuming there's a well-executed punt, Iowa's not going to drive the length of the field. So that's a win for the Illinois offense. That's a win in the Big Ten West. If you cross midfield, you have won.
May not see a whole lot of midfield crossing tonight, I have a feeling.
What's your gut there, Vogues, with game plan? And we talked ratios, but are you going to see a different offense? Are you going to see the same thing, but just number 12 behind center now? I mean, what's the game plan look like with Satterfield and Chuba tonight?
I mean, I think it does change things because it's not that Purdy. Well, you'd put him third amongst the three quarterbacks who have played in terms of QB run threat. So it changes that. You're giving up a pretty good slice of, I think, the threat of QB run. It probably means Nebraska is a little bit more between the tackles with the run game, which may not be the worst thing. Teams have been really gearing up to stop Harburg specifically, but I think they would, you would do the same with Sims to be aggressive against Nebraska's edge runs, its options. So I think the offense does become a little bit more compact. I would expect to see more kind of handoff run game than we've seen. Can Nebraska consistently move the ball that way is probably then the big question. And then the interception piece of it too. And I know we've seen an uncanny amount of interceptions with Sims. Purdy only has, I think, 111 career pass attempts, his interception rate's 5.4%, which is really high. You want to be at like 2.
Been a little bit surprising, Brandon, Wisconsin's defense. Certainly not vintage, not top of the heap in the Big Ten. They are decidedly middle of the road. They've given up 200 yards twice to 2 offenses that aren't very good, Iowa and Illinois. Do you see that as coming into play today, or is Nebraska so inept that they won't be able to take advantage of it? Really?
Nebraska it doesn't have a consistent threat on offense at this point. Like you're basically standing around and kind of waiting for the home run play, which sometimes it is what it is in terms of the injuries. Like Wisconsin defensively, it's not dominant in anything, but it's really solid. And I think the key thing to watch there when Nebraska has the ball is I would still term this Badger secondary as probably the strength. Nebraska, if it has an edge, and this has been true the past couple of weeks, and we haven't seen them, they don't hit a ton of explosive passing plays, but when they do hit them, they tend to be pretty big. That's nice. It's kind of hard to count on though. And when you don't get those plays, well, I think you saw against Michigan State and Maryland specifically what this offense looks like if it can't go 50, 60 yards at least once or twice a game.
It's Brandon Vogel with us here, a weekend edition, Nebraska-Wisconsin pregame, getting you all set up. We're going to be going here till about 6, kickoff at 6:30. And Brandon, something I said with the Maryland game last week, I want to get your thoughts on is Nebraska couldn't afford to lose both the turnover battle and the explosive play battle last week to Maryland. They lose both of those. I think the final drive by Maryland was kind of the final nail in the coffin in terms of the explosive play, and then the final turnover as well down inside the Maryland 10. Is it the same story this week? Does Nebraska need to win one of the explosive play battle and or the turnover battle? Or what's your take on how Nebraska wins this football game? What metric are you following there?
Yeah, I mean, those are like we talked about last week. Those are the 2 biggest ones. I mean, every week for the preview I do at Counter Read, I put up 3 numbers that are kind of like, I think these are kind of thresholds Nebraska has to hit to win this game. If they score a touchdown on that final drive against Maryland, I think they hit all 3, or they would have had 2 out of 3. Because Maryland went down the field and scored, they ended up hitting 0 of 3. And it's just that close for this team. So this one will be, I think this one has the potential to be decided by something else, because if you're looking at it on paper, Nebraska is the more explosive offense. This Wisconsin offense is bizarre. And like, I haven't, for whatever reason, watched a ton of the Badgers this year. So this will be like my first extended look at this offense. Throwing it a bunch, which we assumed they would under Longo, averaging less than 6 yards per attempt, which is less than Nebraska averages passing, and nobody's confusing them with 1984 BYU or anything. So explosive play should be edge Nebraska. Turnovers, Nebraska doesn't have an edge in the turnover department on anyone. So this Wisconsin defense hasn't been that high in terms of takeaways, but I'm not sure it's about the defense when it comes to the turnovers Nebraska's been committing.
Brandon, we proposed a new metric back in hour 1 to evaluate the success of Nebraska. I want to get your take on it. We've dubbed it the F-bomb matrix, where the number of F-bombs screamed by a Husker fan while watching the game on television is a good indicator on if Nebraska is going to win the game. What's that number for you tonight with Nebraska-Wisconsin?
Oh, for tonight? Well, I'm interested in this now. I'm like, what's your average game? And for some reason, first number came to mind. I was like, 4.5 seems good. Like if you're under 4.5, you've probably given yourself a shot to win. This game, I think you might set the over under at 3. Like, I think Nebraska has to play pretty clean. Well, I think Wisconsin does too to win this one with kind of where they're at of late. So it's going to be kind of just a close quarters fight, and the team that kind of makes one fewer mistake might end up winning it. I didn't answer your previous question, Elijah, I don't think, finally, but like, I think this is a big field position game. which isn't that exciting, but it kind of encompasses everything. Like, if you do turn it over, where are those turnovers? If you get those explosive plays, are they deep in your own territory or do they turn into points? Like, it's going to be that sort of kind of station to station, I think, type of football game.
The season is, if we could equate it to a movie scene, is the Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro in the desert moment in Casino, where it's the record for F-bombs in 2 minutes of film. 2 minutes and 13 seconds. I think there was over 70. Where do you get off? Going behind my back, talking to the folks back home. That moment in Casino from the wonderful Joe Pesci. Brandon Vogel's with us. Vogues, when we talk about this Nebraska team and pass rush, who's the guy you think has a big game for Nebraska today? Is it Butler? Does he keep this streak going? Do you think it's Ty Robinson? Is it Bayer? Is it Reimer? I mean, give me a guy you like that can heat up Mordecai behind center.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be tough just because this Wisconsin game is so – the passing game is pretty quick, which is evidenced a little bit by how few yards per attempt they're averaging. But also they haven't given up a ton of sacks. So I think in that instance, but also based on like how he's played of late, and I know Rule was pretty effusive when talking about him this week, I think Ty Robinson is your guy. This would be a great game for he and Nash Hutmacher to keep playing at the high level that they've maintained pretty much all season. That said, we're getting near the end now. I think when we get a step back and look at it, the season that Jamari Butler is having stands out as one of the true success stories on this defense. But if I had to make a pick for tonight, I'd probably go with Robinson.
And it's interesting because I thought maybe James Williams would be a candidate there, because to go sophomoric here for a second, offensively, a lot of eyes on Purdy, and it makes sense for your two key players to be Chuba and the sack man, right? A
lot. It's okay.
Brandon makes no comment. That's the correct response there.
Folks is just going to ignore any of it.
Don't encourage me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just going to say there's some talk mainly with my 10-year-old. But I've heard the notion from others where it's interesting. Well, say Iowa goes down today, say Nebraska wins. It's the Big Ten West title is on the line next Friday in Lincoln, which is the most unfathomable thought possible. But truly could happen. Is what the 10-year-old says. He doesn't want to play Michigan or Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. He thinks there's more to lose than there is to gain by doing that. Your thoughts on that in general, as it relates to impacts on recruiting, impacts on momentum, etc. Just making it to the Big Ten championship game. Any concerns there about getting boat raced by 60 by either of those two teams? Is it worth it? Is it worth it?
Yeah, I think it is worth it. It'd be especially interesting if that happened to be. I mean, this is a careful what you wished for either way. Ohio State is just not allowing Minnesota to do anything so far tonight. The Buckeyes are rounding into they've been good all year, but it's kind of been a quiet good for Ohio State because Michigan has required so much attention. But it'd be nice to see Nebraska get a shot at Michigan again. And if it's not that, Ohio State's intriguing as well. Like, in some ways, if that scenario were to unfold, I think it'd kind of be the perfect ending to, let's see what Matt Rule can kind of, and staff and these players can kind of jet up, because they would be like a 24, 25 point underdog to either of those. But why not? Let's go to Indy and take your shot. Illinois just put a field goal on the board, so going to need a field goal plus a safety here now for Iowa.
13-9. Vogues, we'll get your prediction here coming up. What did you make of the rumor mill unsubstantiated, but some thoughts. Message board guy saying, well, Rule interviewed at A&M yesterday. I don't see him doing that the Friday before Nebraska and Wisconsin. Well, the West is still in play along with bowl eligibility. That said, we talked a lot about this from about an hour and a half of the show yesterday that, I could see A&M looking at him and saying, man, he'd be a nice fit again back in Texas. What's your reaction to this carousel, specifically with the A&M opening and how it relates or could relate to Matt Rule?
Yeah, I don't know anything, no inside information, but when the Aggies fired Jimbo, I did have that thought. I'd be like, would they be sensible enough to look at Matt Rule and say, Texas connections, obviously did a great job at Baylor. This is something I feel is the case at Nebraska, but it would be the case if he were to go elsewhere. Like, just with how his career has gone, he built Temple quickly, got a promotion, built Baylor quickly, got a promotion. I don't think anybody's like fully captured his upside yet because he hasn't been anywhere long enough, which is intriguing. Is Texas A&M sensible enough to make that sort of hire? And my gut feeling then and now was no, they're not. It would be buying a very sensible car when you're like, yeah, but we got Lamborghini money. You're like, well, you just sold your Lamborghini. In fact, you paid to get rid of your Lamborghini.
You returned it. You got divorced. She got to keep the Lamborghini.
Right. So can you just be like, yeah, we got it, but maybe we don't need to show it. Maybe this doesn't need to be that flashy. I mean, I saw one comment today from Elijah Robinson who was talking about on Sunday, he got the team together after Jimbo was fired, and he said, from here on out, everything is about what's next. I was like, maybe just take him. You'll get the Rule mindset with a guy who's already there and is probably one of your best coaches on staff anyway.
Brandon Vogel's with us. It's Hail Varsity Weekend Edition on KFOR, KFORnow.com, YouTube channel. It's where you can watch the show, the Hail Varsity YouTube channel, KFOR Facebook and Twitter, and then Hail Varsity Radio Twitter feed at HVarsity Radio. I'm watching this Iowa game to my right, and there's just a lot of throws that are high and away over the middle with wide open people. And old Deacon Hill, all 285 plus that biscuit and gravy is waddling off to the sideline.
I cannot believe he is a quarterback. I mean, I saw him against Northwestern the other week.
Neither can he. And Brian's got that tone in his voice and that annoyed look on his eye. And his Iowa will punt it again. Vogues, what happens tonight? The line has been fluctuating between 7 and 5.5 and 6. And what's it even at right now? 5.5?
It was 7 when I looked a couple of hours ago, which surprised me. I was surprised it. Well, I wasn't surprised it opened at 7 and it came down pretty quickly. And I thought it would settle in the 4 to 5 range. So I'm a little surprised Wisconsin getting as much support as it has. It's going to be a classic Big Ten West game, which I guess we should appreciate those while we still have them. There's not much to separate either team. I don't think this is going to be high scoring. I kind of go back to where I was at Monday after watching both coaches talk. Like Nebraska at least still seems to have a little spark. Wisconsin, this is its last home game of the season, but they seem to be carrying around a little bit more weight than the Huskers were. So I think I'm going to go Nebraska 17, Wisconsin 14.
Bogues with the hammer.
How many turnovers for Nebraska tonight?
Can't be more than 2.
Okay.
See, that's what we were talking about earlier is the question of how do you reduce rather than eliminate turnovers? And then Elijah brought up a good point. Well, they can't because they've just proven that they literally cannot. How many turnovers does the defense need to force in order to get to that 17-14 prediction?
1. They haven't won a game with being -2 or worse. So they have won a couple of times at -1, Illinois being the one that probably stands out the most. So, I mean, it's that sort of thing. Like when you actually step back and get over the fury of Nebraska's inability to hold on to the ball, like it kind of it starts to look a little bit impressive that they're here at 5-5 because they should probably be worse, averaging almost three giveaways a game. So that's what it is. I think they can be -1, and anything more than that, and you're almost dead in the water.
Brandon, quickly, being a statistical kind of a guy, Satterfield's last 2 years at South Carolina led the conference in turnovers. Now he's at Nebraska, again, leading the conference in turnovers and the nation. Is that something that travels with him, or is that a run of bad luck?
I mean, it's probably still a run of bad luck, or a pair of quarterbacks. I haven't paid close enough attention to know what Rattler's numbers are this year. But
he was 18 touchdowns, 12 picks last year.
Yep. It stands out. I mean, it was the first thing that like jumped out to me when Nebraska announced Satterfield, and you go and like, okay, let's pull up all the numbers. And I was like, well, wait a second. So probably not. It wasn't the best first impression. That the first thing that wowed me was the number of giveaways. So it's tough. Nebraska itself kind of refutes the notion, or at least tries to, that these things balance out over a long enough span. It just it's been a really long span for them, and maybe that's what's happening to Satterfield as well.
Vogues, what's for dinner tonight?
I don't know. It's been a hectic dad day, so this is actually like the first time I've sat down and footballed for the most part today. So I haven't even figured that piece of it out. Definitely going to be Uber Eating something.
Okay.
Never a bad choice.
That's not bad. I will take a picture of the smoked prime rib sliders. Send them to you.
Okay. Just send me a couple of those. That'll work.
Yeah. That'll be good. We will haul that way. Vogues, and tell us about what's going on with you, counterread.com, how folks can get signed up, and what you're doing with Aaron Sorensen. And I know our friend Brady Oltmans has done some stuff with you as well.
Yeah, we're in the newsletter game now. So we're over at counterread.com. It's Substack is what we're using to do that, which been really happy with that platform. Paid subscribers get 2 exclusive newsletters a week. We do a couple of other free things, so people can check us out before jumping in on the paid side, or stay a free subscriber if they want. So been a lot of football. Volleyball's ramping up. Nebraska basketball looked like world beaters today, so that was nice to see. And you mentioned Brady Oltmans, our former colleague, super into NCAA soccer, and Nebraska has a big one tomorrow to continue advancing in the NCAA tournament. So we'll have some more on soccer for Brady coming up next week for sure.
That's awesome. Well, get locked in with Brandon Vogel, Aaron Sorensen, Brady Oltmans. Counterread.com is where you can go. Vogues, have a good rest of your Saturday. Thanks for the time.
You too, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
all right.
Brandon.
We are working our way through the weekend edition till 6 o'clock. The Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, is in the on-deck circle. A quick timeout, and then we'll get you to kick here shortly. Hail Varsity Weekend powered by Cornhead Lager.
Celebrate Thanksgiving this year with Venue Restaurant and Lounge and Venue at Home with our Thanksgiving to-go meal packages. Our packages include sliced turkey breasts and roasted gravy, herb stuffing, Yukon Gold mashed potatoes, a harvest salad, and more, with add-on options to upgrade your feast, including smoked ham, prime rib, sides, appetizers, and desserts. You choose delivery right to your home or pick up at our Venue at Home storefront. Order today at holidaysbyvenue.net. That's holidaysbyvenue.net.
At
The Bakery by Venue, we make life sweet. Our bakery team can create anything from delicious pies to whole cheesecakes and everything in between for your special event. Birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, retirement parties, baby showers, and more. See our full selection of custom designed cakes, cupcakes, bite-sized desserts, and more online at bakerybyvenue.com. That's bakerybyvenue.com. We make life sweet.
As the chief buffet officer here at Pizza Ranch, I get all kinds of questions from guests. Here's one from Emma.
So, what's your favorite number?
That's easy, Emma. My favorite number is 14,839,552. With Buffet Your Way, you can order any pizza you want, and we'll bake it and make sure you get the first slice. And with all our crust, sauces, and toppings, we can make you 14,839,552 different pizzas. Just not, all at the same time.
Pizza Ranch, everyone's favorite buffet. Menards 11% sale ends Thanksgiving Day. Add insulation to your home with Owens Corning Foamular insulation panels. Walls, floors, and basements. Foamular insulation can create a more comfortable living space while reducing your energy costs. Look for the pink panels in store and save today. Save 11% now on all insulation products at Menards. Stores close Thanksgiving, but 11% off remains in effect on Menards.com. Savings are mail-in rebates and exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards. Total comfort now with Carrier Cool Cash rebates. Call Wellman Heating and Air Conditioning to learn how an efficient home comfort system by Carrier can let you create a healthy, more comfortable indoor environment for your home and lifestyle. With up to $1,575 in Carrier Cool Cash rebates or special financing, explore what's possible with Carrier. Incentives will vary. Ask Wellman for details. Turn to the experts. Wellman Heating and Air Conditioning, your factory authorized dealer for Carrier products. WellmanHeating.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Weekend edition rolls forward. It's Hail Varsity, powered by Cornhead Lager. Chris Schmidt, Mark Kranek, Elijah Herbal, Connor Clark. We will effort the Iron Horse Gary Sharp.
He was in the green room. He was in the green room, and he magically disappeared about halfway through that commercial break. So maybe we should have added him to the stream sooner. I'm unsure, but we do know he can make it eventually, right?
He just says, okay, there he is. He was having connection issues, and now we can bring him in. The Iron Horse Gary Sharp. Sharpie, how you doing, man?
Oh, the connection issues rear their ugly head
again.
Now we have him.
No,
he's walking.
Is that better?
We got the question. Yeah. Is that better? Now you're frozen.
Yeah, I was getting there.
He's reconfiguring.
And a great question here: who is more frozen? Is it Gary Sharp on the stream with us now, or is it Iowa's offense?
Man, look at you. Yeah, that isn't any good. I'm watching that game on my phone. Yes, I was going to be set up on the old patio deck, but the lighting was bad. So we'll try and reconnect with Gary here, maybe, unless we just do phone. I don't know. Sharpie, do we got you, bud? Cool. Hello.
Yeah.
Let's pack it up for the phones.
Yeah,
internet's not going to work. Internet's not.
Connor is on that. Good work, Connor Clark. We welcome in the Iron Horse Gary Sharp via phone. Sharpie, thanks for making the effort.
Currently efforting him.
Okay.
All right. There it is.
Well, Gary Sharp's going to be joining one way or another. I mean, that much is nearly guaranteed at this point in time.
So you've got some crazy ball games. Georgia's not crazy. They're just hammering Old Smoky. Iowa's throwing out of their own end zone. And it sailed out of bounds. That's problematic. You have Jerry Kill. He is winning over Auburn. The classic look-ahead game. Maryland was a look-ahead game for Michigan this year, or this weekend, as Maryland got and gave everything they wanted to Michigan, and they survived. Let's see where we're at. So Connor continues to work. The line right now at 7. Nebraska underdogged And guys, as we look at this, we've talked defense, we've talked offense, we've talked turnovers, we've dove in on the F-bomb number, right?
I have found him.
The over-under on F-bombs for Nebraska fans, not just this season, but tonight, in lieu of Nick Saban's question during his radio show. Sharpie, I think we now have you, friend. How are you?
Good. Technology in Colorado, not good. Phone better.
No, that's fine, brother. Thanks for making time. What's your feel? Let's get to it and get your thought here. You feel better than most trips to Camp Randall, or do you think this thing's going to be another issue for the Big Red?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, the last 2 years are the best opportunity for Nebraska to beat Wisconsin. Last year, they were a wounded team coming into Lincoln. This year, Nebraska is going to play Camp Randall. I mean, I think I know what Nebraska team will show up, the same one that's been showing up since Illinois, and they'll play that same kind of game. But I know you guys have talked about it. We have no idea what Wisconsin team will show up. I want to have a belief that after Hunter Wohler called out his teammates last week, that they will play energized. I want to believe that, but you never know. I mean, this is a weird Wisconsin team. But here's the thing. The first quarter, I think, is huge for Nebraska. Nebraska comes out and sets a tone, and they don't turn the ball over, and they're playing well, and maybe they've got a lead or a touchdown and a field goal. Man, you don't know what that stadium's going to be like, and you don't know what that football team's going to be like. So that's my gut. I have no idea what Wisconsin team will show up, and that's the issue.
Gary Sharp with us on the weekend edition. Now, you mentioned it, the Wisconsin's calling out their own players in the media. Gary, when it gets to that point, I mean, that speaks of much deeper issues than maybe can be solved by, barking at a press conference.
He just didn't want to answer.
Gary. There goes Gary.
All right.
Colorado is kind of a pain in the neck to deal with, technology-wise. Connor is on it.
Maybe that was the network, though, just ejecting on me because it wasn't really a question. I just left a statement. It was like I just handed it off.
No, that
like an
could have
option
been.
pitch.
Just stop a sec for me. He says he could only hear me. Couldn't hear anybody else.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, here, how about I'll type you the question I would ask, and then you try to imitate me.
He may not pick up.
Are you good at impressions? I haven't heard you do a ton of impressions outside of Bunny.
I am not.
Yeah, you do imitate Bunny sometimes, and it usually sounds like this. I mean, that's how you say it.
Yeah, she is Linda Blair in The Exorcist. That's what my wife sounds like.
Yep.
Morning, noon, and night.
Yeah, it looks like Elijah just went ahead and handled the buttons there. And we're going to see if we can get Gary back on here in a bit. But, it's what's funny about Nebraska over the past however long is when it comes prediction time and when people ask you, what do you think this week? You're just like, I don't know.
What do you think?
How many times are they going to turn it over and play their own 10? Like, it's very hard to take a lot to the bank with this team outside of playing good enough defense to win. Anything else is off the table. You don't know. You don't know what you're going to see offensively. You don't know what you're going to see special teams wise. You don't know what you're going to see turnover wise. I mean, basically, you just know that they'll play good enough defense to win with average offense. Pretty much been the case the entire season, save for the Michigan game and then quarter and a half at Colorado.
Mm-hmm. It is. And his question here, as he flipped it around on us, and we'll have to probably rain check Sharpie for Black Friday, possibly. The start is so important, and that's one thing that Matt Rule's not really built up is, all right, we got to start fast. No, I mean, he's never really hammered that. It helps. It's not a bad thing to want or be. But that is something that you're not sure about with this Wisconsin team. I just, for the life of me, let's show the camera that. Let's show the KFOR viewers Jaybird's prime rib real quick.
Oh,
it looks
man.
good.
Oh, look, that's a man that is proud of his prime rib too. You can
that
see
is
it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jaybird. Is this thing over yet? I can't see Wisconsin coming out and just going through the motions. Can't do it on senior night. I can't see Wisconsin not having a 4-quarter street fight, Cranack or Elijah, with this ball game tonight. I can't do it. It's okay to question their maturity. It's okay to question their mentality. It's okay to question the approach, Luke Fickell took with this season and this group. It wasn't far away, right? They got their coach fired a year ago, but they've never really had to deal with this.
Well,
Nebraska players are old hat at it.
I think about it this way, though, with like the Michigan State game. It's a team that could just be waiting for something to go right early in a football game. And what Nebraska's offense loves to do is to make something go right for the defense early in the football game. That's the concern with Wisconsin, same as Michigan State, that sometimes in a football game, something goes right for a team early and they realize, you know what, we're in this game. We can go lay our bodies on the line for tonight because things are going right for us and it's going to all be worth it. The question for Wisconsin in a game like this, in a season where everything seems to not be going your way, is if something doesn't go your way early in the football game, do you stop putting your body on the line? Football is a game that inflicts pain. It's a game that hurts. It's a game that leads to injuries. Is there a point in this football game where Wisconsin goes, this season's not worth it. I'm not laying my body on the line on a cold night in November at home. I know it's senior night. That's the question to me is if something goes right for Wisconsin early, I think you get a 4-quarter performance from them. The question is, can Nebraska get something to go right on special teams or on defense? Because I don't think that play comes from your offense. But if something on defense or special teams goes right for Nebraska early, does Wisconsin say, you know what, it's a new game, but it's the same old story, and there's no point in laying your body on the line for a coach that, you know what, he didn't recruit us. We're not his guys. From what it sounds like, we're going to Wisconsin. They don't like him all that much. At what point does Wisconsin say, because I don't think it's going to be a game where they roll out there not ready to play football. But the question to me is, does something go right for them early or does something go wrong for them early? Because that could decide what type of Wisconsin team you get tonight.
That's right on. I mean, that is super accurate. And I'm not sure, call me crazy, but I expect something to go right for Nebraska's offense early. I expect them to put a drive together and go get some points.
You expect or you hope?
No, I expect. I mean, listen, your offensive line's playing better. You got a running back that's come in and been ready to go. There have been completable passes that haven't been executed. And I think you're going to have to loosen this defense up a little bit. And I think as a passer, not as a runner, but as a passer, Chubba's a nice option. He can throw the ball. He can complete. And I know he doesn't have a ton of them this year, but just overall, if he can be comfortable, be confident, right? I'm applying 11 plays from last Saturday to tonight. If he can come in and be calm and cool and just manage and make a throw or two. I'm not saying they have to go score 17 in the first quarter. 17 is probably not what they even put up in the entire game, but just go move the ball a little bit versus a 3-and-out or a turnover immediately. I'm expecting them to absolutely drill down and not be a bleep show for the first time in a long time and take care of the football and run the football.
There is something to be said too, and Harburg got the advantage early this year when the other team doesn't have the book on you. They don't have film to study of you. They don't really know what kind of things that the offensive coordinator and the game plan is going to try to accentuate. They don't really know what Chubba does well and doesn't do well. They have one drive on tape from this year. And then if they look at anything from last year under Whipple's offense, they're just like, he's terrible, whatever, right? You're not gleaning any insight. You just don't know a ton. You know that he can run a little bit. Even though he's the weakest of the three runners, he's still a good runner. I mean, it's a guy that he touches 4.5 when he's fully healthy. He's probably 4.7, 4.8 with the groin now, but he's an athlete. He can run. So I think that's part of it too, is Satterfield. I think we wish he would have done it more, but in general, he has designed his offenses around who he's playing. And we don't really know what that is for Purdy within the context of a Satterfield offense. Neither does Wisconsin. So that does lend itself to early in the game, maybe being able to sneak a few by him, right? Maybe being able to do some plays that they literally have not shown. It stands to reason that is a bit of a Nebraska advantage as long as Purdy has his wits about him and doesn't panic from being the guy on the field.
Let me ask this: how many pass plays that the quarterback had time were airmailed or just wildly inaccurate with the pass plays that Satterfield's called the last 5 games?
Well, that brings me to this question:
do you feel better? Do you feel better that Purdy can actually complete some of those?
Well, how many pass attempts realistically do you expect to see tonight? I mean, what's your ballpark?
24. That's the number for me, because that's what Satterfield has shown all season long. It's going to be great.
Purdy was 1 of 5. Purdy was 1 of 5 last week, including the pick. He had that completion to Billy Kemp. That was it.
Good.
Just saying
that was awesome, though. 3rd and 6.
Yeah, it was a completion. It was like, wow. Is that
how many pass attempts inside of the red zone? How about that?
You better,
if they get there.
If you're going to throw inside the red zone, it better be Fedoni or it better be a jump ball to Malachi.
Back corner of the end zone.
Spare me the intricate routes, hoping that young wide receivers clear out and do their job, and you're accurate with the throw. Elijah, your wheels are turning.
Well, I'm just trying to think of a stat line here for Chuba that would be solid from what you've seen from him. And the numbers I keep coming back to, if you can get Chuba 12 of 24 through the air for 140 yards and 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, that might be a win for your offense, which sounds horrible,
which is unreal.
But he's completed 50% of his passes. That's better than his career percentage in college. He's gotten you 150 yards through the air. Man, that'd be a fantastic number. And only 2 interceptions. Maybe he gets a touchdown with his legs. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But that would be winning numbers for Nebraska, as much as that pains me to say. 12 of 24 for 150 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. That might be winning numbers from Chuba Purdy.
That's a winning stat line from a quarterback who was probably going to start for a team that has bowl eligibility on the line. Try and stomach that sentence right there.
Well, with Illinois up 13-9, not just bowl eligibility on the line, a Big Ten West title still on the line.
Which is unreal.
That's real life.
Can I ask a question to the room? And I've tried to watch as much Big Ten football as I can. I had it on this afternoon. The quarterback just made a great throw to the back shoulder, Paddock, for Illinois. The wideout, Williams, didn't come down with it. They're punting. Aside from Iowa, I look at Northwestern's quarterback situation. Manageable, making a few plays. They're bowl eligible. I look at Indiana. I look at Michigan State. And they have somebody back there that can throw the football and make a completion. Quarterback has won a few games for Illinois this year. Purdue's been a bit of a mess. But why can't Nebraska find a guy or 2 guys that can come in and not lose the game, not hurt the team? I know we talked quarterback as a league earlier tonight, but is it that hard to find somebody that can just manage and make a throw or 2, and from an audible standpoint, just get you into the right play?
Nebraska's had 2 of those guys since 2004. That's it. Zach Taylor and Joe Gans.
I would, if you could trade, I'd take that guy. I'd take this guy. I'd take X, Y, and Z quarterback wise and place him at Nebraska's training table. Nebraska's a 7-win football team, an 8-win football team this year, possibly.
Here's the thing. Nebraska kind of had that last year in Casey Thompson.
Sure.
Nebraska won its games last year because of Casey Thompson on the offensive side of the ball. If you take this year's defense, and I know it's impossible, it's a hypothetical, whatever, I don't care, get mad at me. If you take this year's defense and pair it up with last year's offense, that's probably a 9-win football team.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
You're probably right. You're probably right. It's interesting, though, that you have to, when you just rattle through all the quarterbacks, you go from Joe Daly to Zach Taylor to Sam Keller to Joe Gans to, God, who was after Gans? Would that have been, what was his name? Oh, God, I can't even think of his name. Zach Lee. Thank you. Zach Lee. Then you go to Tommy Armstrong, or Taylor Martinez, then Tommy Armstrong, Adrian Martinez, Tanner Lee's in there. Really, the only guys that managed the offense consistently, Zach Taylor, who, by the way, one of the most cerebral guys on the planet. That's what it takes, by the way. I mean, he's the head coach of the Bengals, for crying out loud. like, obviously a different dude upstairs than everybody else. And then Joe Gans was nails in 2008. So damn good. Outside of those two guys, man, we have watched some really flawed quarterback play, right? And by the way, those guys, Zach Taylor was an all-conference level performer. Gans was not.
He was Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year.
Right, exactly. So, he was outstanding, obviously. And Joe Gans was really good, too. And Taylor Martinez, obviously very gifted, very, his freshman year especially. They had weapons now. Like, whenever you watch highlights and you're like Rex Burkhead, Roy Helu, and you're Quincy Anunua and Kenny Bell and Wester. They had weapons. They were something to behold. Amir Abdullah, for crying out loud, like they were for real. But in terms of just pure quarterback play, he was a flawed quarterback, right? Adrian Martinez, flawed quarterback. Tanner Lee,
Tommy Armstrong got the nickname Tommy Arm Punt.
Right. And Tanner Lee, for as talented, for as much arm talent as he had, flawed quarterback as well. It's just viral. Yeah, it's just right. That was all the talk is like, the way
Iowa's driving now.
Deep ball to the line that's way overthrown.
Yeah, had a guy open. They just hammered out a 3rd and 4, though, the tight end. Vic, our friend Vic from Denver, we saw him last night in his gorgeous German Shepherd Schaefer. Rattler has 17 touchdowns, 7 picks, no fumbles this year. But just
little ahead of where he was last year.
18
touchdowns, 12 picks last year for Rattler. Yeah.
I mean, how much is the reason in the fumble category is due to a change at OC, though, if that's what he's getting at?
Well, it's what are you teaching? What are you teaching? How are you protecting?
In a fumble scenario, though, I feel like there's only so much that you can teach before it's just like, all right, this dude just clearly cannot hold on to the ball. Like Jeff Sims, anybody else on the team is strong enough to hold on to the football.
Touchdown, Iowa.
Yep, Iowa just.
No way.
Yep, counterplay, right side.
From 35 yards out, it's Caleb Johnson.
There goes Nebraska's Big Ten West title.
Yeah,
that was possible.
It's the same one they scored on Nebraska last year.
Mm-hmm.
Same spot.
There goes Nebraska's Big Ten West title.
Hey,
now,
Illinois, only down by 3 with 4.5 minutes left. There's still a chance.
Just get to 6. That's all
against
that
defense.
Get
yes.
to 6.
Yeah.
Colin says, Jesus, shake my head. Dion is starting off the F-bomb over under.
There's one.
And going there. There's one, right?
I guess Walter makes it too.
Yep. Walter goes nuts too. So let's go around the table here. Final predictions as we wind it down with the weekend edition. Don't forget.
The extra point is blocked and Illinois can win it with a field goal.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Madness in Iowa City.
16-15. That score doesn't cause heartache in this state ever.
Well, that'd be 31 points. That would be, the total was set at 31.5 for this game.
It was.
So, according to
People
Vegas, Illinois should kick a field goal here to get that total to 31.
Oh my God.
Well, let's get some final thoughts here. Cranack, lead us off. What happens tonight?
Look, as much as I want to believe Nebraska's going to get it done, you're on the road. You got Chubba Purdy, who hasn't played a lot. You got a very turnover-prone offense. If something happens to Purdy, where do you go? Sims? More turnovers? What do you?
No, Sims doesn't play. Who's the JUCO, Elijah?
Luke Longval.
Yeah, I need to see Longval.
I just don't feel like Nebraska has nearly enough answers on offense right now, and I think a night game in Madison. I don't know. I don't have a great feeling about it. I can see Wisconsin winning by 10 plus. Probably go something around, a 24-13.
And here's where I'm at, because I kind of said this yesterday on the show, and I want to reiterate that I think the final 4 minutes of this Iowa-Illinois game will do a lot to determine what happens tonight in Nebraska-Wisconsin. Stick with me here. Poetic justice, God having a sense of humor, whatever you want to call it. If Illinois wins this football game today, there will be a Big Ten West showdown to see who goes to Indianapolis next Friday in terrible weather at Memorial Stadium on Black Friday. Because if Nebraska really wins that game, they will go to Indianapolis, assuming they beat Wisconsin tonight. I think God has a sense of humor. If you don't believe in God, call it poetic justice, whatever you want to call it. That would be the most fitting way to end the Big Ten West.
The script.
A Nebraska-Iowa game, two teams with anemic offenses that hate scoring points, a couple of great defenses. Oh, there's snow in the forecast. That would be the perfect way to end the Big Ten West because Vegas would set that total at like 17.5 points, and that would just be the most fitting way to end the Big Ten West. So if Illinois can drive down, get a field goal, and win this football game, mark my words, Nebraska will beat Wisconsin tonight to make that possible. God will make it happen. Karma will make it happen. Poetic justice will make it happen. Whatever you believe in, that will in fact happen. So my prediction really rides on if Illinois can complete this late comeback against Iowa, drive down and get a field goal. That's the question to me in terms of what happens with Nebraska-Wisconsin. If Iowa holds on, I'm taking Wisconsin to win the football game. If Illinois wins it, Nebraska gets it tonight. They'll find a way.
Yeah, I think that's really good radio. That is fantastic radio, but I think I'm going to stick with my prediction from yesterday. I think Wisconsin wins a close one. I think Nebraska covers. It's going to be 17-14 in favor of Bucky tonight, unfortunately, but it'll be a hard-fought game. I think it'll be a good game down to the end, but I do not trust Nebraska's offense enough to go win this game, and we've got about 60 seconds here, guys.
Chubba's the difference. He's warming up as the QB1. Just saw footage of him in Madison. I think his arm will be the difference. I think his calmness hopefully traveled for an entire game, and the black shirts got to tackle a little bit better and be fierce all 4 quarters against the run against a team like Wisconsin. I think Nebraska handles it tonight. I think they get it handled 13-9. I picked against Nebraska a lot this season. First 2 weeks of the season, the last 3 weeks of the season, going back to
somebody's spiking the football on his skills. It's probably not. I like it. Hey, when you got the data to back it up, do that.
Yeah, we've burnt the tapes that are inaccurate. Yeah. But we'll be back at you afterwards, 10 o'clock, Real Red Reaction. Kranak, thanks for jumping in tonight.
Godspeed, fellas. All right.
Elijah, appreciate you. Connor, we'll talk later. Back for Real Red later.